Good day, students. So today we will be utilizing the media to continue our discussion in the course Principle of Marketing. So since we only have limited of time, we will be discussing the continuation of our midterm coverage through this video lecture. So I hope everybody could look for a place kung saan magiging comfortable ka to listen and comprehend this video. So today we'll be tackling about consumer analysis. So in the previous unit, we had talked about the market, the concept of marketing, and even other theories that we could support in comprehension of the marketing. So in this unit, we will be covering the two types of market under the consumer analysis. We have the consumer or the household market and the business market. So when we say consumer, it could also be associated with the term household market. So, yung consumer market at household market are all the same, okay? And the business market. So, these two concepts, yung household market or consumer market at saka yung business market, ay definitely magkaiba sila. So, later on, we will be expounding the discussion regarding this, okay? So, the consumer or household market is different from the business market, as I have mentioned a while ago. However, the same factors influence their behavior in the market. Okay, so the buying behavior theories can also be used for both markets to do a consumer analysis. So at the end of this unit, you will be able to apply relevant buying behavior theories in doing consumer analysis. So I forgot to include this slide about our learning objectives. So i-discuss ko na lang siya. So after studying this unit, you should be able to acquire the following competencies. Actually, we have general competencies that you will be able to acquire. Number one is to describe the consumer and the business market. Okay. So under this, you will be able to identify and describe the factors that are influencing consumer behavior. The next one is you will be able to identify and describe the adapter categories model, since we have mentioned a while ago that in consumer analysis you will be able to analyze the consumer through some theories. So in this unit, we'll be focusing on the adapter categories model. And lastly, you'll be able to identify and describe the buying roles. So we have different buying roles. Hindi lang po iisa ang role na meron tayo as a consumer. Okay, so let's start. So in the consumer and business market, we have two concepts here, the consumer market or yung tinatawag natin na household market. So when we say consumer market, this refers to the market that buys product for their personal or end use. So meaning to say, these are people who buys the product for their personal or end use. So, sila yung mga bumibili, sila yung grupo ng mga tao na bumibili ng produkto or kumukonsuma ng services for their personal or end use. Okay, so say for example, if you will be buying a t-shirt and you're the one who are going to use that particular product, then meaning to say you are a consumer market. So you are the end user of the particular product or services. Okay, so when we say business market, on the other hand, this is the market that buys a product for further processing. So take note of the term further processing and then resells it to the market. So meaning to say, business market, sila yung mga bumibili ng product for further processing. So meaning to say, hindi sila bumibili ng product and directly i-resell to. Okay? But rather, kailangan merong pang further processing yung binili mo na product, and then after the further processing, that's the time you're going to resell it to the market. So meaning to say, people in the business market, from the word itself, business, okay? So this group of people are buying products or they are acquiring services for the purpose of reselling it, okay? For example, particularly dito talaga siya sa mga raw materials. For example, if you're going to buy a chicken, say consumer market, bibili siya ng chicken, yung luto na, for the purpose na gagamitin niya to or kakainin niya to. However, in the business market, ang bibilhin nila is yung raw chicken, kung saan if further process pa ito, Like for example, if fried chicken, so it will be for the raw chicken will be bought for further processing. So iluluto muna siya. Then, pag naging fried chicken na siya, tsaka na siya i-resell. Okay? So, ibebenta siya ulit. Hindi siya binili para gamitin, but rather, you bought the particular product to resell it to the market. Okay? So, another term here, we have this what we call the derived demand. And this is very important for you to comprehend the concept of derived demand. This means that if there is no demand from the end user, then there will be no demand from the business market. So, in the derived demand, the business market actually have derived demand from the consumer market. Why? Because if there is no demand from the end user or the consumer market, then there will be no demand from the business market. So, definitely, the supplier of the business market, hindi sila magiging market ng supplier. It's because walang demand yung end user. So, yung demand ng business market, nakadepende siya sa end user or the consumer market. Okay? So, say for example, if hindi kailangan ng consumer market ang fried chicken, say for example, then meaning to say, the business market will not be able to buy or hindi na sila bibili ng mga ingredients or product na pang fried chicken. It's because there is no demand coming from the consumer market. So that is the concept of derived demand. Okay, so when we say derived demand, again, kailangan may demand ang end user para magkaroon din ng demand ang business market. From the word itself, it derives. Okay, so it derives from the demand of the end user for the business market to have its own demand. Okay, so let's down to the consumer behavior. So in the consumer behavior, this is defined as the study of consumers and the processes they use to choose, use, and dispose products and services. Meaning to say, we will be talking about the consumer behavior on how these consumers, both the business market and the consumer market, used to choose kung bakit sila pumipili ng particular product or services, bakit sila gumagamit ng particular product and services, and why are they disposing these products and services. So all of these questions will be answered through consumer behavior. So bumibili ang isang tao base sa kanyang choice, base sa kanyang usage, or base sa pag-dispose niya ng products and services. And that's all because of its behavior. And that is what we called as consumer behavior. Now, in line with that, there are factors influencing the consumer behavior. So we have here 4 factors. Actually, there's a lot of factors. However, we will be focusing to these main 4 factors that influences the consumer behavior. Number 1, we have the cultural factor. We also have this what we call social factor, the personal factor, and the psychological factor. So we will be tackling one by one, okay? And we will also be giving some examples para mas maintindihan natin yung each factors that influences the consumer behavior. So the number 1 factor is the cultural factor. So when we say culture, according to the Merriam-Webster, this refers to the totality of the inherited ideas, beliefs, values, and knowledge which constitute the shared basis of social action. So meaning to say, yung kinagawian or the way of life ng isang tao, yun yung tinatawag nating culture. So inherited ideas, okay? Kung saan nagkakaroon ng shared basis of social action. Say for example, we have this culture of manana habit. We have this culture of, or even say for example in your family, pag culture na ng family mo na, or kinagawian na ng family mo na gumising by 5 a.m., definitely, whether you like it or not, you will be awakened by 5 a.m. because yun yung naging shared basis of social action nyo within your family. And the same with the consumer behavior, no, we have this cultural factor wherein bumibili ka ng particular product or gusto mo mag-acquire ng particular services, it's because of your culture. Okay, so for example, Filipino culture is our value for education. So it's given that the Filipino people value more or gives value for education. Yes, so we are very into education. So since we value education, our value towards education is positive. So meaning to say, lahat when it comes to education, we always give demand on the products that are actually used in education. Say for example, your materials in your schooling, di ba? So whether you like it or not, or whether it's very difficult to buy a particular product despite of its price or it's in demand, binibili pa rin natin ito, and that's because of our culture towards education. Alright, so that's it. Okay, so another factor is the what we called as social factor. So the social factor, such as group, family, or family role and status, would influence consumer behavior. An example of social influence in our behavior is the peer pressure. So basically, teenagers are said to be more vulnerable to peer pressure. So meaning to say, this social factor is one of the factor that influences our behavior towards our consumption. Say for example, ayaw mo bumili ng particular product, but because your friends are having this particular product, so you have no choice but to buy or to purchase the particular product. So particularly, say for example, your group of friends have this new hijab or yung trending na hijab, and then since all of them are wearing this trend hijab, so definitely you will have this demand to buy that kind of hijab, okay, whether it's not bagay to you or whether it's not in your culture, but because of your social factor leads by your peer pressure. When you say peer pressure, these are your group of friends, then napapressure ka sa kanila, so that's the time you purchase the particular product. So isa yan sa nakaka-influence kung bakit tayo bumibili ng isang produkto. Okay? So again, it could be from your family or your status. Sometimes in the status, we are buying particular product or we can acquire particular services because of our status. It could be you have this mayaman ka, so definitely kaya mong bumili ng particular product. Kung hindi ka naman mayaman, that's the time na hindi mo din kayang bumili ng particular product. Okay? So that's under the social factor. So another factor that also influences our behavior towards our consumption, we have this what we call as personal factors. So personal factors such as your age, your life stage, your occupation, your economic situation, your lifestyle, your personality, and self-concept will also influence your behavior. So definitely, sometimes we can say na binibili na yung dating gusto nating produkto, hindi na natin gusto ngayon. It's because of the personal factors, particularly your age. You're aging. So meaning to say, your taste, your preferences are also changing based on your age. Sometimes, because of your occupation, diba? So, say for example, ang occupation namin as an educator, so we wanted to be to show na we are also formal when it comes to clothing. So, diba? So, even though it's really difficult to buy a particular product or masyadong mahal yung particular na clothes, we have to buy it because of our occupation, and that is under our personal factors. So, there's so many factors under personal factor that may influence our behavior towards our consumption. So here we have an example of the personal factor as an influence in our behavior is our personality. So say for example, an introvert, for instance, would most likely not to engage in social activities. So meaning to say, yung behavior niya towards buying products na aligned or consistent sa social activities, hindi siya ganun ka-impulsive, okay? When it comes to social activities. So, say for example, hindi siya bibili ng mga bagay like mga bike kasi hindi naman siya into social activities like biking. It's because of his personality na introvert siya. Takot siyang lumabas sa maraming tao. So, there's a lot of examples that we could give under these personal factors. So, maybe ikaw, you could assess yourself. Why are you buying this particular product? Maybe because of these personal factors. And lastly, we have these psychological factors. So these psychological factors like motivation, perception, the learning beliefs, and attitudes will also influence your behavior. So sometimes, pwedeng naitatanong din natin why a particular person would buy this product na in your perception walang kwenta. So today in this unit, we could realize that we really cannot judge a person based on its behavior towards consumption, right? It's because there are many factors that could influence your behavior. Bakit mo binibili yung isang product or services? And one of these is this what we called as psychological factor na nasa ilalim nito yung motivation, yung perception, yung learning, and even your beliefs, yung paniniwala mo, and your attitudes towards a particular product. So, for example, we have here a psychological factors that influence behavior in the negative belief on the Friday the 13th. So, if you are familiar with the Friday the 13th, isa ito sa mga superstitious belief or pamahiin ng other people na kapag daw yung ika-13th of the month ay tumugma or doon sa Friday, say for example, in the 13th month of this February, ang day na yon ay Friday, they believe na it's malas, okay? So because of this belief, some people will avoid traveling on Friday the 13th. So meaning to say, maapektuhan din yung behavior nila para bumili, para magkaroon ng consumption. It's because of this negative belief na hindi na lang sila mag-travel or hindi na lang sila bibili sa malalayong lugar. It's because it's Friday the 13th. And the same with the Maranao people. We do not use the Muslim people but rather the Maranao people na merong beliefs, okay, regarding Friday na tinatawag nilang naas, okay? So, hindi sila bumibili or they will not travel as well because it's Friday na pwede daw very prone tayo sa mga accidents and the likes, okay? So, these psychological factors might also affect or influence your behavior towards your consumption, right? So, to explain more, we have here the adapter categories by Rogers. So, we need to tackle some theories that we may anchored in this unit. Okay, so the adapter categories by Rogers. This theory explains the classification of individuals within a market based on how they adapt to or how easily they adapt to technology. Okay, so itong theory ni Roger, kumbaga, it explains the different people or different persons kung paano nila ina-adapt or nagkakaroon ng adaptation when it comes to product and services. So we have here the Rogers adapters category. So Roger describes 5 categories of adapters. Number 1, we have the innovator. Okay, so sino ba itong si innovator? Ito yung mga risk taker, high social status, financially liquid, social, and interacts with innovators. So meaning to say, this group of people, so later on you may assess yourself, alin ka sa mga 5 adapters ni Rogers. Okay, so si innovator, these are group of people na, we have to take note of this. They are high social status and financially liquid. So meaning to say, ito yung mga tao na, say for example, if we have iPhone 16 Pro Max, okay, as a new product, ito yung mga tao na hindi pa lumalabas sa industriya, yung iPhone 16 Pro Max, meron na sila. Okay, so they are the most rare user of the particular products. Okay, so meaning to say, sa original price or sa mahal na presyo ng naturang produkto, sila yung pinaka-first na nag-a-adapt or nagpa-patronize. So they are called the innovators. Sila yung pinaka-first na mag-a-adapt nung nasabing produkto. Okay? So another category here of adapter is the early adapter. They are the opinion leaders. They have high social status as well, the same with the innovator, financial liquid, advanced education, more discreet in adoption choices that innovator, central communication position. Okay, so si early adopter naman, sila yung, say for example, doon sa iPhone 16 Pro Max, nung nailabas na siya sa industriya, sila naman yung pinaka-first na nag-adapt or pinaka-early na nag-adapt nung particular product, okay? So, meaning to say, sila yung central communication position. Kumbaga, sila yung tinitingala ng mga tao na if mag-adapt sila, of course, people, okay, will also adapt the particular product, okay? So, the early adapter, meron din silang financial liquid, no? And more discreet sila in adoption choices than innovator. Si innovator kasi, so long as bagong-bago, hindi pa siya nagagamit sa industriya, they will take that kind of product. Say for example, sa mga auction, diba? Si early adopter kasi, of course, since they are advanced in education, they have so many, what we call this one, mga standards or preferences bago nila i-adapt yung particular product. But still, sila yung pinaka-first or early na nag-adapt nung nailabas na yung produkto sa industry. And the third category, we have the early majority. So, it takes longer to adapt technology, below average, yung social status nila, interacts with early adapters. So, meaning to say, si early majority, ito yung panahon na medyo dumarami na as in like, ang dami nang gumagamit ng iPhone 16 Pro Max. Medyo, hindi naman sa luma na, but majority of the users are now using the iPhone 16 Pro Max, for example. So, si early majority, yun nga, since gusto nilang i-adapt kung ano yung ina-adapt ng early adapter, they are, what we call this one, kumbaga, ginagaya nila yung mga early adapter. So, ito sila yung tinatawag nating early majority. So, ito yung panahon na, say for example, si innovator, ito yung presyo na 160,000, for example, yung iPhone 16 Pro Max, sila yung pinaka-first na kumuha. Nung nilabas niya sa industriya, naging, let's say for example, 130,000 na siya, si early adapter yung unang nakabili. So, nung bumagsak siya from 95,000 at dahil narinig ni early majority na ginagamit ito ni early adapter, sila yung mga bibili na ulit nung naturang produkto. Okay? So, it takes longer bago nila i-adapt yung technology or yung produkto. Now, si late majority naman, sila yung skeptical on innovation. They have an aversion to change agents and little financial liquidity. Sila yung may aversion naman sa mga changes, okay? And that's the reason why maybe sila yung pinaka-late na nag-adapt ng particular product. So, these people, itong si late majority, sila yung grupo ng mga tao kung saan bibilhin, yung mindset nila is, hindi mo na sila bibili nung sikat na product, but rather, hihintayin na lang nila na bumagsak yung presyo nito kahit hindi na siya uso, pero at least, naka-acquire sila ng particular product or naka-purchase sila. So, as I have mentioned a while ago, sa early majority, nung naging 90,000 na siya, tsaka na lang sila bumili. Si late majority naman, nung naging like say for example, 35,000, ganyan, or hindi na masyadong sikat yung iPhone 16 Pro Max kasi meron ng 3 or 4 models na, tsaka na sila nag-purchase ng particular product. So, ito yung mga hindi na uso yung particular product, tsaka na lang sila bumili. Or pag bumagsak na yung presyo ng product, saka na sila bibili. And lastly, we have this what we called as laggard. Sino tong mga laggard? They are group of people na pinaka-last to adopt the innovation. and they have an aversion to change agents, just like the late majority. And kung si late majority, little financial liquidity, si laggard, meron siyang lowest financial liquidity. So sila yung they cannot afford a particular product due to its lowest financial liquidity. And take note again, when we say demand, you cannot demand a product if you don't have the buying power. Okay, so si laggard, medyo mababa yung buying power niya, and that's the reason why sila yung pinaka-last to adapt an innovation. So say for example, in our generation today, very rare lang yung makikita mong naka-keypad. However, there are group of people who are still using this keypad, although hindi na siya talaga nagagamit, super duper wala na siya sa uso, so tigira na, pinaglumaan na, they still purchase the particular product because that's how they adapt to it. Okay, maybe that's, as I have mentioned, it's because of its lowest financial liquidity. So meaning to say, yung mga tao na wala na sa uso yung produkto, ngayon pa lang sila nagpo-purchase, sila yung tinatawag nating laggard. Okay, so these 5 categories are described, okay, by Rogers in his theory, the adapters categories of theory, okay, or model. Alright, so let's down to our last topic, which is the buying roles. So what is the buying roles? When we say buying role, this is defined as the function of a person associated with the purchase of the product. So meaning to say, sila yung mga tao na na-associated doon sa pagbili ng product, or paano ba nabili yung produkto through this buying role. Okay, so meron tayong iba't ibang roles kung paano nabibili ang isang produkto. Okay, so there are actually 6 main buying roles. According to teacher.com, meron tayong 6 main buying roles. And we have here the first one, the initiator, the influencer, the decider, the buyer, the user, and the gatekeeper. So the first one is the initiator. So ito yung person na nagde-decide or nag-initiate to start the buying process. So meaning to say, siya yung mag-start ng buying process. So say for example, in a company, pwedeng ang maging initiator ay si manager, okay? Or yung user. Sometimes user could also be the initiator. So this initiator, siya yung pinaka mag-start ng buying process. Say for example, in your group of friends, lahat kayo, may isa sa grupo ninyo na biglang magsasabi na kakain kayo sa labas, di ba? So, yung friend mo na yun, na first na nagsabi na kakain kayo sa labas, is the initiator. Kasi sa kanya nag-start yung buying process, okay? So, the next one is the influencer. So, the influencer is the person who tries to convince others they need to, or they need the product. So, meaning to say, si influencer, siya yung mag-i-influence din sa inyo na bilhin yung naturang produkto. Okay? So, balik tayo sa group of friends ninyo. Yung first na nagsabi na kakain kayo sa labas is si initiator. Si influencer naman, siya yung sasang-ayon kay initiator, or pwede rin hindi siya sumang-ayon. So, mean to say, siya yung mag-i-influence doon if bibilhin ba yung product. Okay? So, for example, sasabihin niya na, sige, kain tayo, total, mainit din naman, walang makagawa. So, sige, let's go outside and eat. So, meaning to say, na-influence na kayo na sundin ninyo si initiator. Okay? And the next one is the decider. Okay? So, the decider is the person who makes the final decision to purchase. So, meaning to say, si decider, siya yung, at the end of the day, siya pa rin yung mag-decide kung masusunod ba si initiator at si influencer. Meaning to say, si decider, if you're going to look at, siya yung may buying power, okay, siguro, kaya siya na din yung nag-decide. So, balik tayo sa example natin kanina. If yung first friend mo ang nag-initiate na kakain kayo sa labas, si second friend naman yung nagsabi, sige, kain tayo sa labas, total wala namang ginagawa. Then si decider, siya yung magde-decide na saan kayo kakain, or siya yung magde-decide if kakain ba kayo sa labas o hindi. Okay? So the fourth one is the buyer. Definitely, si buyer is the person who is going to write you the check. Siya yung bibili, or siya yung liaison, or siya yung actual buyer sa buying roles or the buying process. Okay, siya yung bibili. For example, si first friend yung nag-initiate na kakain kayo sa labas. Si second friend ang nagsabing, oo, sige, kain kayo sa labas kasi wala namang ginagawa, influencer. Si decider, siya yung magsasabi na, sige, ano pa, kung anong gusto ninyo, yun na din yung gusto niya. Nag-decide na siya. Then si buyer, siya yung uutusan yung bumili nung gusto nyong bilhin. Okay? So, yun si buyer. And of course, we have the user, the person who ends up using your product, whether he had a say in the buying process or not. Si user, siya yung gagamit ng product. Pwedeng yung mga mentioned roles kanina, lahat sila user. Or pwede rin na hindi sila user, tapos may user. Okay? Na kakain ng product. For example, si first friend, nag-initiate na kakain kayo sa labas. Okay? Si second friend, sabi niya, sige, kain kayo sa labas, total walang ginagawa. Si decider, yung nagsabi na, sige, kung ano yung gusto ninyo, doon na tayo, nag-decide na siya. Si buyer, siya yung inutusan lumabas para bumili na kakainin nyo sa labas. Then si user, siya yung magsasabi, sometimes there are cases na bumibili tayo ng product not for us but for the user. So si user, siya yung end user ng product na bibilhin. Okay? And lastly, we have the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is the person who has control on the flow of the information. They also facilitate the decision-making process. Okay? So, minsan, influencer din tong si gatekeeper. Pero somehow, there are cases kasi in the buying roles na si gatekeeper nagiging parang siya, manipulator ng information kahit alam niya na maganda yung isang produkto na bibilhin doon sa isang shop, but because hindi niya gusto yung shop, pwede niyang makontrol yung information na hindi ka makabili doon sa shop. Kaya nga siya tinawag na gatekeeper kasi he could also facilitate the decision-making process. So, he can manipulate the information para maging maka-apekto yun siya para hindi matuloy or matuloy yung bibilhin na product. Okay? So, those are the 6 main buying roles by theteacher.com under the buying role na topic. So, we have here the reference of our discussion for this unit, this book by the Phoenix Publishing House by Dr. Maria Luisa Chua de Laico. So, everything in these materials are for educational purposes only, no copyright infringement intended. So that ends our discussion in this lesson. I hope you guys have learned something, and the next meeting we will be having our short quiz regarding this, okay, in our face-to-face meeting, and then the other next meeting will be served as your midterm examination. So I think that would be all. Thank you for listening.